Time check! It's English O'Clock! Ang pag-aaral ng English upang madaling matutunan, bakit hindi natin simplihan? Halika! Manood at makinig sa English Teacher ni Juan! Kung bago ka pa lang sa channel na to, huwag kang matakot! I made learning English easy for you! Please like, comment, and subscribe. At pakishare mo na rin sa iba para marami pang mga Juan na gaya mo ang matuto.
Hello there! Ready ka na ba ulit sa panibagong lesson for this week? Halika na, simulan na natin! The target learning competency for this video is analyze the maxims, universal truths, and philosophies presented in the literary text as a means of valuing other people and their various circumstances in life. This is the lesson objective. Identify and explain common literary devices used in poetry. Familiar ba kayo sa literary devices? In the previous lessons, we discussed about metaphors, similes, and personification, which are examples of figurative languages that we use in writing poems. Sa lesson na ito, mapag-uusapan na naman natin ang mga halimbawang ito bilang mga uri ng literary devices. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of literary devices. Siguro ay iniisip nyo, why should I care about metaphors, similes, or personification? Imagine this, nagbabasa kayo ng isang tula o nobela na sa sobrang payak o simple ay tanging pagkikwento lamang ng pagkakasunod-sunod na pangyayari ang paraan ng pagkikwento. Parang isang listahan lamang ng mga pangyayari mula simula hanggang huli. Oo, marami kang impormasyong makukuha pero hindi ito magiging mas interesting kumpara sa isang tula o nobela na gumagamit ng mga literary devices. Ang mga literary devices ay importante dahil ang mga ito ang nakapagbibigay kulay at sigla at nakakadagdag ng interes ng mga taong bumabasa. Think of them as the secret ingredients in a recipe that turn a basic dish into a gourmet meal. Now let me give its definition. What are literary devices? Literary devices enhance writing by adding depth, emphasis, and a richer sensory experience for the reader. They are tools and techniques that poets use to enrich the meaning, imagery, and impact of their work. It makes the writing more engaging and meaningful and connects their study to broader skills in communication and creativity. Now let's discuss the common types. Number 1. Imagery. Descriptive language that appeals to the senses, creating vivid mental pictures for the reader. Examples include visual imagery for sight, auditory imagery for sound, olfactory imagery for smell, gustatory imagery for taste, and tactile imagery or touch. Here are the examples. First, we have visual imagery. The golden sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of pink and orange as the shadows of the trees grew long and dark. This description helps readers visualize the scene by describing the colors and the effects of the setting sun. Next, the old house was a crumbling ruin, with ivy creeping up its walls and shattered windows staring out like empty eyes. The imagery here suggests a clear picture of the dilapidated house and its eerie or creepy appearance. Auditory imagery. The leaves rustled gently in the breeze, creating a soft whispering sound that filled the quiet forest. This sentence helps readers hear the gentle rustling of leaves, enhancing the atmosphere of the scene. The distant roar of thunder rolled across the sky, accompanied by the sharp crack of lightning splitting the air. The imagery here captures the powerful and dramatic sounds associated with a storm. Olfactory imagery. The rich aroma of freshly baked bread wafted through the kitchen, mingling with the sweet scent of cinnamon and nutmeg. This description allows readers to almost smell the delicious scents of baking. The pungent odor of sulfur filled the air as the volcano erupted, a stinging reminder of nature's power. This example evokes the strong, distinctive smell of sulfur associated with volcanic activity. Tactile imagery. Her fingers traced the rough, weathered surface of the old stone wall, feeling the cool, uneven texture beneath her touch. This description helps readers imagine the physical sensation of touching the stone wall. The quilt was warm and heavy, its soft, worn fabric enveloping her in a comforting embrace on the chilly night. The imagery here conveys the tactile experience of feeling the warmth and softness of the quilt. Gustatory imagery. The tangy citrus flavor of the lemonade danced on his tongue, a refreshing burst of summer sweetness and tartness. This sentence helps readers taste and experience the flavor of the lemonade. The rich velvety chocolate melted slowly in her mouth, leaving a lingering, indulgent sweetness. This imagery evokes the sensation and taste of chocolate, enhancing the sensory experience. These examples illustrate how imagery can vividly evoke sensory experiences, making descriptions more engaging and immersive for readers. Another type of literary device is the metaphor. Metaphor. A comparison between two unlike things, suggesting a similarity or shared characteristics without using like or as. A direct comparison between two unlike things. Here are a few examples of metaphors. Number 1. Time is a thief. This suggests that time, like a thief, takes away moments from our lives. Number 2. Her voice is music to my ears. This implies that her voice is as pleasant and enjoyable as music. Number 3. He has a heart of stone. This means that he is emotionally cold or unfeeling. Number 4. The world is a stage. This suggests that life is like a theatrical performance where people play roles and act out their parts. Number 5. She's a night owl. This means that she stays up late or is active during the night. Metaphors compare one thing to another directly, often to highlight similarities in a more vivid or imaginative way. The third type is simile. Similes use like or as to draw comparisons between two different things, highlighting similarities in a way that's often easy to visualize. Here are some examples of similes. Number 1. As brave as a lion. This compares someone's bravery to the courage of a lion. Number 2. Her smile is like sunshine. This suggests that her smile is warm and bright, similar to the way sunshine can be. Number 3. He runs like the wind. This means he runs very quickly, much like how the wind moves swiftly. Number 4. Their conversation was as smooth as silk. This implies that their conversation flowed effortlessly and pleasantly. Number 5. She's as busy as a bee. This compares her busy schedule or activities to the constant activity of a bee. The fourth type, personification. Personification helps create vivid and relatable imagery by attributing human traits to inanimate objects, animals, or abstract concepts. Here are some examples of personification where non-human things are given human characteristics. Number 1. The wind whispered through the trees. This gives the wind the human ability to whisper. Number 2. The alarm clock screamed at me this morning. This describes the alarm clock as if it could scream, emphasizing its loud sound. Number 3. The old house groaned under the weight of the snow. This attributes the human action of groaning to the house, suggesting it's struggling with the snow. Number 4. The sun smiled down on us. This gives the sun a human action, implying a warm and pleasant day. Number 5. Time marches on. This describes time as if it were a soldier marching, suggesting its relentless and continuous passage. The fifth type of literary device is symbolism. Symbolism adds deeper layers of meaning to narratives, allowing readers to connect with broader themes and ideas beyond the literal text. It is the use of objects, colors, or elements to represent deeper meanings or ideas beyond their literal significance. Here are some examples of symbolism where objects, characters, or events represent larger ideas or concepts. Number 1. The dove often symbolizes peace and purity. For example, a white dove is commonly used to represent peace in various contexts. Number 2. The red rose symbolizes love and romance. In literature and art, a red rose is frequently used to represent deep affection. Number 3. The cross represents faith and Christianity. In Christian symbolism, the cross is a central symbol representing the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. Number 4. The owl often symbolizes wisdom and knowledge. In many cultures, owls are associated with intelligence and learning. Number 5. The dark forest. In literature, a dark forest often symbolizes an unknown or dangerous journey, representing inner fears or challenges. Another literary device is rhyme. The repetition of similar sounds, usually at the ends of the lines in poetry. Common rhyme schemes include AABB, ABAB, and ABCB. Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is an example of a poem which has a rhyme scheme of AABBAA. Examples of different types of rhyme. The first one, end rhyme. End rhyme is defined as when a poem has lines ending with words that sound the same. End rhyme is also called tail rhyme or terminal rhyme. Two or more lines of the poem have to rhyme for it to be considered end rhyme. But they don't have to be consecutive lines. The first and last line of a stanza or verse can rhyme, or even the first and last lines of the entire poem. Why end rhyme is used in poetry? End rhymes make it easy for readers to remember and recite poetry. This type of rhyme also gives poetry a musical quality that helps readers read the poem as it's meant to be heard. Example: the cat sat on the mat, looking sleek and very fat. Another most common example is the example that we had earlier. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Number 2 is internal rhyme. Internal rhyme is a poetic device that is defined by the position of the rhyming word or words. They are different from traditional end rhymes in that the rhyming words are only in the middle of lines of poetry. They are also sometimes referred to as middle rhymes. Unlike traditional rhyme schemes in which the end words line up, middle rhymes do not need to follow any pattern. Two words might rhyme in one line and then there be no other instances of rhyme throughout the rest of the poem, or there might be a similar rhyme in the middle of the next lines. Example, The Raven. The Raven is a wonderfully rhymed poem that provides readers with numerous examples of various types of rhyme. Take a look at the first few famous lines of the poem. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. In the first line, readers should be able to spot an example of an internal rhyme with dreary and weary. Poe could have ended the first line after dreary, but he chose to extend the line, adding a true end rhyme and allowing dreary to exist as an internal rhyme. There are also examples throughout the rest of the lines with napping, tapping, rapping, which is used twice, and tapping again. Third, slant rhyme or the near rhyme. Traditionally, slant rhyme referred to a type of rhyme in which two words located at the end of a line of poetry themselves end in similar but not identical consonant sounds. For instance, the words packed and slicked could be slant rhymed. The term has expanded over time to include additional types of similar sounds. More precisely, slant rhyme today now includes words whose last syllables contain assonance, like unpack and detach, as well as words whose last syllables contain final consonants that have consonants, like country and contra. Some additional key details about slant rhyme. Slant rhyme is often also called by the names half rhyme of imperfect rhyme because, unlike more conventional uses of rhyme, the sounds shared by the two words are not identical. You may also hear slant rhyme referred to as sprung rhyme, near rhyme, or lazy rhyme. Slant rhyme is rarely as obvious to the ear as perfect rhyme, the type of rhyming used most often in poetry in which the rhyming sounds are identical. Examples: slant rhyme involving assonance, hat and bad, crate and braid, created and rabid. Slant rhyme involving consonants, cut and mat are slant rhymes because they have consonants in the last consonants of their final and only syllable. Poncho and crunchy are slant rhymes because they have consonants in their final syllable, cho and chi. The fact that their ending vowel sounds O and Y are different doesn't matter. However, the words unfit and unfair are not slant rhymes, despite the fact that they both have an F in their final syllable. That's because the F is not the final consonant to appear within the last syllable. The fourth type, couplet. What is a couplet? Here's a quick and simple definition. A couplet is a unit of two lines of poetry, especially lines that use the same or similar meter, form a rhyme, or are separated from other lines by a double line break. Some additional key details about couplets. Couplets do not have to be standalone stanzas. Instead, A couplet may be differentiated from neighboring lines by its rhyme, or because it forms a complete sentence, or simply because someone talking about the poem wants to specify which two lines they're referring to. Couplets do not have to rhyme, though they often do. A couplet may be open or closed, meaning that each line may make up a complete sentence, or the sentence may carry from one line into the next. Examples: standalone couplets. Couplets are easiest to identify when they stand alone. Sometimes a couplet stands alone because it forms an entire two-line poem. For example, Alexander Pope's famous two-line epigram that he engraved on the collar of a puppy given to the Prince of Wales. I am His Highness' dog at Kew. Pray tell me, sir, whose dog are you? Other couplets stand alone because a poem's double line breaks create two-line stanzas. For example, Robert Creeley's poem, The Whip, is written entirely in couplets without rhyme. Here are the first two stanzas. I spent a night turning in bed. My love was a feather, a flat, sleeping thing. She was very white. However, a poem does not have to be entirely broken into couplets to include standalone couplets. Couplets also occur in poems with stanzas of varying lengths. For example, the first two stanzas of Robert Creeley's poem, The Innocents, are a couplet followed by a tercet. Looking to the sea, it is a line of unbroken mountains. It is the sky, it is the ground. There we live on it. The fifth type, alternate rhyme. The pattern of rhyme where the first and third lines and the second and fourth lines rhyme. AB pattern. Example: I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Number 6. Sonnet rhyme scheme. In a Shakespearean sonnet, the rhyme scheme is AB, CD, EF, GG. Here's an example. Observe how the final word for each line rhyme. Did you see the pattern? The seventh literary device that we have is the tone. Tone can be conveyed through word choice, imagery, syntax, and overall style. Common tones in poetry include playful, serious, nostalgic, melancholic, sarcastic, hopeful, and reflective. Tone in poetry refers to the poet's attitude or emotional stance towards the subject matter, and it can significantly influence how readers interpret a poem. Here are examples of different tones in poetry. The first one, joyful. Example: I wandered lonely as a cloud by William Wordsworth. The excerpt: for oft when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. In this example, the tone is joyful and reflective, celebrating the beauty and serenity found in nature. Second example is melancholic. We have The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. The tone is dark and melancholic, expressing feelings of sorrow and despair. The third one is ironic. Example: A Red, Red Rose by Robert Burns. Till the seas gang dry, my dear, the rocks melt with the sun, and I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands so life shall run. The tone can be seen as ironic as the speaker makes grand promises that contrast with the practical limitations of human life and nature. Fourth is optimistic. Example, Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. The tone is confident and optimistic, asserting resilience and strength in the face of adversity. Number 5. Somber. Example, Do Not Go Gentle into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. The tone is somber and urgent, reflecting a deep struggle against the inevitability of death. Tone in poetry can be conveyed through word choice, imagery, and the overall mood of the poem, helping to create a specific emotional atmosphere. The eighth literary device that we have is mood. Mood is the emotional atmosphere or feeling evoked in the reader by the poem. Mood can range from joyful and celebratory to dark and ominous, depending on the subject matter and the poet's treatment of it. Number 1, we have eerie. Example, The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. Mood. The mood is eerie and unsettling, created by the dark, mysterious setting and the sense of foreboding. Number 2 is peaceful. Example, The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought. Mood. The mood is calm and serene as the speaker finds solace in nature away from the worries of life. Number 3, nostalgic. Example, To Autumn by John Keats. Season of mists and mellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun. The mood is nostalgic and reflective, celebrating the beauty and richness of the autumn season while contemplating the passage of time. Number 4, melancholic. Example, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. The mood is contemplative and melancholic as the speaker reflects on choices and their impact on life. Number 5 is joyful. Example, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. For oft, when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. The mood is joyful and uplifting, celebrating the beauty of nature and the happiness it brings. The ninth literary device that we have is alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the same initial consonant sounds in a series of words. Example, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Alliteration is the repetition of the same initial consonant sound in closely positioned words. Here are some examples of alliteration in poetry. Here's Beowulf from an anonymous Old English epic. The sea was sheer, the sky was shining, the ship was safe, the shore was near. Alliteration. The repetition of the S sound in sea, sheer, sky, shining, ship, safe, and shore. Number 2. The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain. Alliteration. The repetition of the S sound in silken, sad, uncertain, and rustling. Number 3, The Bells by Edgar Allan Poe. Hear the mellow wedding bells, golden bells. The repetition of the W sound in wedding and bells. Number 4, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. Alliteration. The repetition of the R sound in roads diverged and yellow. Number 5. A Dream Within a Dream by Edgar Allan Poe. While I weep, oh God, can I not grasp? Alliteration. The repetition of the W sound in while, weep, and weeping. Alliteration helps create rhythm, enhance mood, and make phrases more memorable in poetry. The 10th literary device is hyperbole. Hyperbole is an exaggerated statement or claim not meant to be taken literally but used to emphasize a point or convey strong emotion. Here are some examples of hyperbole in poetry. Number 1. To His Coy Mistress by Andrew Marvell. Love you 10 years before the flood, and you should, if you please, refuse, till the conversation of the Jews. Hyperbole. The speaker exaggerates his love by claiming it will last for thousands of years and beyond biblical events. Number 2, The Ballad of the Oyster Man by Eugene Field. He had a long-legged little daughter. She was a big-legged little child. The description of the daughter's legs is exaggerated to make a humorous point about her size. Third example, Sonnet 18 by William Shakespeare. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Hyperbole. The speaker suggests that the beloved is even more beautiful than a perfect summer day, an exaggeration to emphasize their beauty. Number 4, A Dream Within a Dream by Edgar Allan Poe. All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. The idea that all reality is just a dream within a dream is an extreme exaggeration used to express the theme of uncertainty and illusion. Number 5, The Song of Hiawatha by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The sun was a very big ball of fire, and its rays were all long and bright. Hyperbole. Describing the sun as a very big ball of fire with exaggerated imagery to emphasize its intensity and grandeur. Hyperbole in poetry often serves to highlight emotions, create vivid imagery, or make a point more forcefully. The 11th type of literary devices is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a word that imitates the sound it represents. Here are some examples. Number 1. The Bells by Edgar Allan Poe. Hear the sledges with the bells. Silver bells, what a world of merriment their melody foretells. Onomatopoeia. The words bells and sledges mimic the sound of the bells ringing and the sledges moving. Number 2. The Sound of the Sea by William Shakespeare. The sea, the sea, the sea, with all its churning waves and foam, it roars and howls with furious glee. Onomatopoeia. The words roars and howls imitate the sounds of the sea. The third example is The Swing by Robert Louis Stevenson. How do you like to go up in a swing, up in the air so blue? Oh, I do think it is the pleasantest thing ever a child can do. Onomatopoeia. The word swing conveys the motion and sound of swinging. Fourth example, The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. And the lamplight over him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. Onomatopoeia. The word streaming evokes the sound and motion of light spreading. 5. The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. And the sound of the gunshot rang out, loud and clear, and the echoing bang was heard far and near. Onomatopoeia. The words bang and echoing mimic the sounds of a gunshot. Onomatopoeia helps create vivid auditory images in poetry, enhancing the reader's sensory experience by mimicking real-world sounds. Understanding literary devices helps us appreciate the craft of writing and gives us the power to express our own ideas more creatively and persuasively. Whether you're analyzing a poem, crafting your own stories, or simply enjoying a novel, recognizing these techniques enhances your experience and deepens your understanding. So, let's embark on this journey together and discover how literary devices can make literature more vivid and engaging. By the end, you'll not only appreciate the beauty of language, but also become better communicators yourself.
So did you learn something today? Sure ako na hindi ka na nosebleed. If you want more of this video tutorial and learn English in a light speed, huwag kalimutang mag-subscribe at turn on ang notification button para updated ka sa mga bagong lessons. Ako ang teacher mo, ang English teacher ni Juan. Class dismissed!